Ever feel like the sheer distance between your application's code and its users? Well, it adds a layer of complexity you didn't quite sign up for.
Yeah, definitely.
Talk about the challenges, getting your app not just deployed, but running smoothly, low latency, scaling easily.
And feeling solid wherever your users happen to be.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this because today, on the deep dive, we're really zooming in on the engines powering the modern web data centers. And specifically, how Xuda uses its global network of these facilities to handle the heavy lifting of deployment and hosting.
Right. We've got information on the Xuda platform generally, but our real focus today, like you said, is the critical role their data center infrastructure plays.
Yeah.
It's not just, storing data passively. It's about strategically putting compute power and storage where it needs to be.
To optimize performance and reliability.
That's the goal. We want to paint a clear picture of how Xuda's data center strategy actually gives you, the developer or the business, tangible benefits.
So Xuda is pitched as this development and deployment platform, but it sounds like their take on the physical side, the data centers, is a key part of it. What makes their approach stand out from, say, just using any old cloud provider centers?
That's a really good question. While lots of platforms just build on generic cloud infrastructure, Xuda seems to have a more integrated approach, maybe even opinionated. It's centered around their own network.
Yep.
And key to this are their orchestration tools and this dynamic marketplace they have. It's all designed to work really tightly with this specific infrastructure.
Right.
The big idea is to, well, maybe revolutionize how you build, deploy, and run modern apps, focusing on that optimized performance users expect.
That snappiness.
Exactly. And seamless scaling, efficient resource use, all standing on this global data center network.
This dynamic marketplace you mentioned, it sounds like more than just like an app store.
Yeah.
How does that connect to the data center strategy?
Yeah, think of it this way. The marketplace has these pre-built pieces, apps, tools, plugins, but they're specifically designed to run well within the Xuda's data center setup.
Yeah.
So that tight integration means if you grab a component, you have some confidence it's likely optimized for the underlying infrastructure. It can really speed things up.
Oh, so?
Well, need a specific function, maybe it's already there, tuned for Xuda's data centers, saves you building it, speeds up development, enhances your app right away.
And developers can sell their own apps there too. Does that make the data centers themselves more valuable somehow?
Absolutely. By creating this space where components are meant to, thrive within their specific data center architecture, they encourage developers to build things that are naturally compatible and performant.
Creates a kind of ecosystem then.
Exactly, a virtuous cycle. More high-quality data center-aware components pop up, which benefits everyone using the platform.
Okay, now actually getting these apps out there, deployment. I gather Xuda offers a few different ways. How do these options use the data center capabilities?
Right. They offer quite a bit of flexibility. You've got user group deployments like password-protected ones, progressive web apps, PWAs, standard public web pages, and even support for native iOS and Android apps.
So lots of choices.
Yeah, and the key point is that each method is designed to be hosted and served from Xuda's strategically placed data centers.
So if I deploy a PWA for, say, a European audience,
It could automatically leverage their data centers in maybe the UK or the Netherlands to keep latency low for those users. That kind of built-in infrastructure awareness is a big plus.
okay, so we built our app, maybe used the marketplace, chosen how to deploy. Let's really focus on these data centers now. They're not just server farms, are they? What's special about Xuda's network?
You're right, it's more than just racks. They're hosting solutions powered by this global network of state-of-the-art data centers, really emphasize flexibility and scalability.
And the locations matter.
Critically. The strategic global positioning is about putting the infrastructure physically close to users to cut down latency, that annoying delay.
Makes apps feel sluggish.
Precisely. And it's also about distributing the infrastructure to boost security and resilience for the whole platform. Think of it as a distributed engine, optimized globally.
Low latency is huge. And being able to scale resources easily as your app grows, that must be a big draw. Knowing the data center infrastructure can actually handle it.
For sure. Whether you're just starting small or you're an enterprise with huge traffic spikes, the idea is the underlying data center setup can adapt.
And reliability.
Uptime.
That's the promise underpinning it. High uptime, solid support. If your app needs to be available, knowing there's a reliable supported network is crucial.
The sources call these data centers building block entities. That's an interesting phrase. What are these blocks building?
Yeah, the building block idea points to how each Xuda data center is actually put together. Essentially, each one bundles the power of a virtual private server, or VPS, that's the compute part,
Okay.
with integrated database systems running on CouchDB. This specific pairing within each data center is fundamental. It enables efficient data handling and seamless replication across the whole network. So each data center is like a self-contained unit of compute and storage.
Pretty much, yeah.
So in each location, US East, Germany, wherever you have a VPS doing the processing and a database right there with it,
hmm
how does that specific setup improve things?
Well, by having the VPS and the database close together, physically in the same region, you massively cut down the network delay between the application code and the data it needs.
Right, less travel time for the data.
Exactly. That proximity is a huge factor for low latency performance. Plus, having them co-located regionally can make it easier to meet local data compliance rules. Data can be processed and stored within specific borders.
And CouchDB, you mentioned, that plays a big role in replication. How does that work across these building blocks?
CouchDB is really the linchpin for the synchronous data replication across the network. When data changes in one data center,
Uh-huh.
it gets mirrored almost in real time to other data centers you've designated.
What's the big win there?
Resilience, mostly. If one data center has a problem, the data is still safe and accessible in the others. It prevents data loss. And it also ensures consistency, which is vital if you have users or app components scattered globally.
So if I have users in, like, London and Sydney,
The data they're interacting with can potentially be served from a data center much closer to them, making their experience feel faster and smoother.
okay, that makes sense. Minimizing that round-trip time.
Precisely. Strategically distributing data closer to where it's needed, whether that's users or other parts of your application, cuts down delays.
This global network sounds pretty expensive. Where exactly are these Xuda data centers located?
The sources list quite a few key regions. The US, East Coast and West Coast Canada, the UK, the Netherlands, Germany.
Okay, Europe covered.
Then also Singapore, India, and Australia. So yeah, pretty broad geographical support for organizations operating internationally.
Wow, okay. That kind of distribution, plus the replication we talked about, must offer some serious advantages.
Oh, definitely. Big benefits for both efficiency and security. Think about teams spread across the globe that can work on and access the same data almost seamlessly.
Like that design team in London and developers in Singapore example.
Exactly. Replication makes accessing even large files feel faster and more reliable for both. And for apps with users everywhere, data can be streamed consistently wherever they connect from.
And you mentioned compliance earlier. How does this multi-data center setup help with things like GDPR?
That's a critical piece. It lets organizations control where their data gets replicated and stored, so you can ensure European user data stays within GDPR boundaries, or Californian data meets CCPA requirements,
Granular control over data location.
which is becoming absolutely essential today with all the different regulations.
So beyond the tech specs, what are some real-world ways businesses might use this data center network? The sources mentioned some key use cases.
Yeah, one big one is regional deployment optimization. You can deploy your app specifically in regions where most of your users are.
To cut latency for them.
Right, but you still manage it centrally. Think of a game company putting servers near their biggest player hubs.
Makes total sense for performance. What else?
Another really useful one is creating isolated environments for testing and staging.
Ah, like sandboxes.
Kind of. Because each data center is somewhat self-contained, you can easily spin up a dedicated test environment in, say, Europe, try out new features there.
Without breaking the main app for everyone else.
Exactly. No impact on your live production setup. It's a safe way to do quality assurance, maybe even testing how things perform in different geographic contexts.
That's crucial for stability. What about, when things go wrong? Disaster recovery.
The multi-data center replication is a huge asset there. If one specific data center has an outage, could be anything, power failure, network issue.
Right.
The synchronized data in other locations means your application can potentially stay accessible. It provides built-in redundancy for business continuity.
So it's not just speed and testing, it's about keeping the lights on.
Definitely. And think about distributed teams again. Having regional data centers replicate and serve data locally just makes collaboration smoother. It feels like everyone's working off a local copy.
Less waiting for files to sync across continents.
Right. And finally, back to compliance. It's a key tool for meeting those data storage regulations by ensuring data lives where it legally needs to.
Okay, let's try and summarize the core advantages of this data center strategy. Scalability seems huge, growing across regions easily.
Absolutely. Scaling horizontally across these interconnected data centers gives you a lot of flexibility and resilience as you grow.
And data availability and reliability, that sounds like a cornerstone, thanks to the CouchDB replication.
Consistent, up-to-date data where you need it. Minimizes downtime risk and potential data loss.
Then there's the global reach, essential if you're operating internationally.
Yeah, the wide network lets you serve a global audience well, with good performance pretty much anywhere.
And finally, that operational flexibility, customizable environments for test, staging, production.
It just helps streamline the whole development and deployment pipeline. Lets you move faster, but with more confidence.
Now, what about big companies? Enterprises with really strict security or maybe compliance needs. I heard there's an on-premise option. How does that fit with his data center focus?
Right, so Xuda also offers a kind of branded version that enterprises can run entirely on their own local network, their own hardware.
Inside their own firewall.
Exactly. It gives them maximum control over their data and security, but they still get to use Xuda's advanced deployment and orchestration tools.
Who's that good for?
It's ideal for organizations with super sensitive data or maybe strict rules that absolutely require data to stay local. They get the tech benefits, but within their own secure bubble.
So it seems like whether you're a startup trying to go global fast or a big enterprise locking things down, there's a data center approach here designed to fit.
That seems to be the aim. The data centers really are the foundation of the whole Xuda architecture. They're providing not just hosting, but this whole ecosystem built for modern apps.
Emphasizing performance, reliability, scale.
And compliance.
Right.
All through how these data centers are designed and connected, especially that VPS and CouchDB pairing in each one.
So pulling it all together, this deep dive shows Xuda isn't just about the code you write. It's fundamentally tied to where and how that code actually runs. They're leveraging this global network of purpose-built data centers. These aren't just passive boxes. They're actively working to make your app perform well, scale up, and stay reliable everywhere.
Precisely. That strategic deployment, the intelligent data replication across the network, that's key to understanding how Xuda tries to tackle the complexities of modern app hosting.
Yeah, and looking into Xuda's data center infrastructure really highlights how the physical internet, these buildings we never see, directly shapes our digital world. It makes you think, doesn't it? About the implications of having data and apps spread out, copied across the globe. What are the next challenges in managing these massive interconnected networks? And how will that keep changing application performance, security, and all those compliance headaches we deal with every day? Definitely something to mull over for your own projects or when you're looking at the platforms your organization relies on.